This week on College Pressbox, Texas football comes up with a big win over West Virginia. Texas women's volleyball team squares off against number 3 Baylor in a key doubleheader. And we take a look back at a thrilling Taiwan series. All this and more coming up on College Pressbox. Welcome into College Pressbox. I'm your host, Adam Ogburn, and it's time to recap another jam-packed week of Texas sports. And also later on, we'll have a look back at the Taiwan series, joined by our very own Daniel Shih. But first up, let's head off to Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium, where Texas looked to build off its upset victory over Oklahoma State when it took on West Virginia on Saturday. Here we go, Texas and West Virginia squaring off. Last time they played in Austin, West Virginia came out with a thrilling 1-point victory. This time though, Bijan Robinson on the first play from scrimmage, he breaks free for a huge gain. He goes 54 yards to the West Virginia 21. A couple plays later, Ellinger going to look. He's going to find Brennan Eagles across the middle and for a 7-yard score. And the Longhorns strike first. But the Mountaineers would answer. Daggy is going to hand off to Letty Brown. He's going to burst through the middle for a 12-yard touchdown score. And we're all tied up at 7. Now into the third quarter, Texas and West Virginia tied at 10. Ellinger, he's going to look, and he's going to find Jake Smith for a 33-yard score. The Longhorns go back up in front. But West Virginia, again, they move down the field. Daggy going to look, it's going to be bubbled, and they rule it incomplete. Winston Wright Jr. couldn't come down with it. That would end up being the difference. Texas defense comes up with 2 key fourth quarters, stops and holds the Mountaineers to a 17-13 defeat. And now, here's Olivia Guzman with more coverage from the Longhorns' big win over West Virginia on Saturday.
After making an appearance in the AP Top 25 this season, Texas welcomed the West Virginia Mountaineers to DKR for an early afternoon game. With the 17-13 win against the Mountaineers, Texas sent West Virginia on those country roads all the way home. But the win was not ideal. Texas quarterback Sam Ehlinger still sees room for improvement even after the win.
Won some really close games, but we're also not playing our best football, which is encouraging but also frustrating at the same time because we know we're not even anywhere close to how good we can be, but we're still finding ways to win.
Although the Longhorns seek improvement, one player stood out amongst the rest, true freshman running back Bijan Robinson. Ever since he was recruited by Texas, fans have called Bijan the next Ricky Williams, someone that he looks up to as a mentor.
No, I'm still just a freshman, just trying to find my way in college football. I talk to him, here and there, and he just says, just stay humble, stay on the grind, and, things will come. But for me, I'm just learning as much as I can and just got to work hard every day to keep improving my skills to, try to do those kind of things.
The hunger doesn't just stick to Bijan, but is contagious through the entire Texas squad. After an unideal performance from Ehlinger, he is looking to get back to the basics of the game to further develop the team.
When I try to aim the ball, that's when I'm not playing myself. I just got to let it rip and let those guys make plays down the field.
After the win against West Virginia, Texas sits 4-2 in the Big 12. The Longhorns seem to be setting a pattern of taking games down to the wire. Head coach Tom Herman sees this pattern following through for the rest of the 2020 season.
Guys, this is the way it's going to be all year. We're going to get better this bye week. We got a ton better in the bye week leading up to the Baylor game. We're a much different team at this point, but we are going to be a work in progress.
Texas has their third bye week of the season and will face Kansas in Lawrence on November 21st. Reporting from DKR, I am Olivia Guzman, TSTV Sports.
I'm now joined by our football analyst Clark Dalton to recap Saturday's showdown against West Virginia. The Texas defense held West Virginia to just 13 points, 1 week after forcing 4 turnovers against Oklahoma State. Clark, what improvements have you seen out of the defense recently?
Well, Adam, this defense has been rocking lately. The defense looks better because they're using formations that fit the personnel. It's not blitzing 8 players at the same time. It's much more organized. You see more man coverage and 4-man fronts. Young players are stepping up in this system. Jawan Mitchell is a tackle machine. T'Vondre Sweat aggravated West Virginia, swatting down several passes at the line of scrimmage. So this is why the defense has cut their points per game by half in the last 3 games. And they will keep getting better if they defend the deep ball and continue to smother the run game.
Yeah, Clark, that defense has certainly been impressive. But now looking onto the other side of the ball, Texas' offense has struggled a bit recently. The Longhorns, they only mustered 17 points against West Virginia, and Sam Ehlinger now has thrown for under 200 yards in the past 2 games. Clark, kind of what's been going wrong with that Texas offense?
Well, I think they're a bit banged up because they exerted so much effort at the beginning of the season when they were having to score 40 or even 50 points to win a game. And with the problem with that is even though it gives the offense some confidence, it can lead to injuries. And we're seeing that with Sam Ehlinger. He's clearly battling through the pain right now. And that's why he's not hitting some of the deep and intermediate throws he was hitting at the beginning of the season. We saw this against West Virginia. They just simply didn't hit the deep ball. Some of it's ball placement. Some of it's just simply not making catches when you're going to the ground. And to be fair, West Virginia is one of the better defenses in the Big 12. So this is to be expected. And they're also trying to run air raid and power spread at the same time. They need a hybrid offense that relies on quick gains across the field, so some more pro-style concepts, which uses the short passing game and gets the outside run game more involved, should get their rhythm back.
Yeah, Clark, it'll be interesting to see, especially coming off this bye week here, if Texas can kind of regain that offensive momentum we saw earlier in the year. And Clark, as I mentioned, though, only 3 games left now in the regular season. Texas still controls their own destiny. If they win out, they can make a push to secure a spot in the Big 12 title game. Clark, kind of who's an X factor that you're looking at who could play a big role for the Longhorns as they come out of their bye week?
An X factor that's huge for the Longhorns is Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson was the first running back on this roster to cross the 100-yard mark as a freshman, and he's filled with potential. Also, if you get him fired up and going, defenses now have 2 problems because you have Sam Ehlinger, who's pretty good with the ball in his hands, and a young running back who's turning into a star. As for the emotional side of the game, just continue to use the anger and frustration early in the season to fuel a flame that gets wins on a weekly basis. When Texas got off to that 2-2 start, some people started to write them off and say, this is just another talented Texas team headed to the dustbin of mediocrity. They're done. Well, Texas went out and said, hey, wait a second. There's a lot of football left, and we're not done. And we're going to show you what we're about this season. And they're continuing to discover that. So it's just turning a negative situation into a positive situation and using that energy. And when you do that, you're going to head to somewhere special by the end of the season.
Well, Clark, it's certainly going to be fun to watch the Longhorns take on Kansas, Iowa State, and Kansas State in their final 3 games. Thanks for joining us tonight, Clark. So when we come back, we'll take a look at Texas volleyball's 2 big matchups against number 3 Baylor this past week. Don't go anywhere. You're watching College Pressbox. Welcome back into College Pressbox. Texas women's volleyball team is currently ranked number 1 in the country, but they face a huge challenge this past week against third-ranked Baylor. On Thursday, the Longhorns narrowly lost the first 2 sets against Baylor's by scores of 25-23 and 26-24. However, Texas responded. The Longhorns took sets 3 and 4 by scores of 25-23 and 25-13 to even the match at 2 sets apiece. In the 5th and decisive set, Texas held off the Bears by a score of 15-9, thanks in part to 2 kills from Skylar Fields and 3 key kills from Logan Eggleston. Eggleston led the team with 22 kills on the night, while Breon Butler came up with 6 blocks, and Jenna Gabriel had 51 assists for Texas. However, when the team squared off again on Friday, the roles were reversed. Texas jumped out to a 2-set lead, but this time it was Baylor's turn to respond. The Bears won sets 3 and 4 by scores of 29-27 and 25-14. Yet again, though, the Longhorns came up big in the 5th and final set, winning 15-6, thanks to 4 kills from Molly Phillips and 2 more by Skylar Fields. Logan Eggleston again led the team, this time with 14 kills, while Breon Butler added 11 blocks on the night. With these 2 victories, Texas moves to 12-0 on the season and will remain the number 1 team in the country most likely. I'm now joined by our volleyball analyst tonight, John Kelly. John, Texas had only dropped 3 sets all year in their first 10 games, but against these 2 showdowns against Baylor, Texas dropped 4 sets overall. What kind of went wrong for Texas in these 2 games?
Thank you for having me, Adam. First off, I just want to say this is an extremely talented Baylor team that Texas was playing. Number 3 in the nation and a well-deserved number 3. But there were several little things for Texas that went wrong. Firstly, I mentioned it before in a previous episode, but service errors. Between the two games, there were 32 service errors, and that's more than a set's worth of free points to the other team, and that's completely unacceptable. Also, in the first match against Baylor on Thursday, there's a bit of communication error in the first couple sets because of the loss of libero Morgan O'Brien, who tested positive for COVID-19, and that was announced shortly before that match. In the second match on Friday, there's a bit of a breakdown in passing in the third and fourth sets that Texas dropped. And according to Jared Elliott, there was also a breakdown in confidence when Texas gave up the 2-0 set lead in game 2.
Well, John, you can talk all you want about Texas dropping sets in these games, but the fact is that Texas found a way to win that fifth and crucial set in both encounters, coming away with 2 key victories over the number 3 team in the country. John, kind of over these 2 games, what went right for Texas?
With their ability to overcome adversity, Jared Elliott said that despite having lost confidence after dropping those 2 sets on Friday, the team got together, talked it out, and were able to win 15-6 in that 5th set. That's not something that any team could really do, and it's something that I think really is a testament to the talent on this team. Logan Eggleston recorded her second and third double-doubles of the season in this series, and Jenna Gabriel led the team to 95 assists in the series. And I want to give a shout-out to Nalani Yosia, who made her first start as libero due to that issue with Morgan O'Brien having COVID-19.
Well, John, now the Longhorns moved to 12-0 on this season. Texas only has 4 games now left in the regular season. What does Texas kind of have to watch for in these remaining 4 encounters?
Well, there are several things, but first I want to mention that with the sweep of Baylor, Texas only has to win 1 match to clinch the Big 12 championship. Big 12 championship, all you have to have is the best record in the season. And with the sweep over Baylor, they have advantage, so they just need 1 more. But obviously they want to keep that number 1 spot and winning out the rest of the season. And that's going to be a fairly easy endeavor for Texas. Their most challenging team left is West Virginia, which they play coming up this week. And that team's led by Natalia Petrova, the junior from Bulgaria, who leads the team with 142 kills. And they were number 15 in the nation until they lost to Baylor a couple weeks ago. Lastly, their final series is up in Fort Worth against the 1-5 TCU Horned Frogs. Unfortunately, due to scheduling issues and COVID-19 issues, TCU's only played half their season, but they've still lost 5 of their 6 games. They're currently being led by Julia Adams, the sophomore from Plano, who leads the team with 87 kills. And lastly, this past Friday was senior night for the Texas Longhorn volleyball team. I want to give a shout out to senior Ashley Shook, who played her last game at home as a Longhorn.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight, John. There's a lot to look forward to in those remaining few games for the Longhorns. But when we come back, Daniel Shih will get us caught up on the best season finale in sports, a Game 7 in the Taiwan series. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back into College Pressbox. The CPBL season came down to Game 7 in the Taiwan series as the Uni Lions squared off against the CTBC Brothers in a showdown for all the marbles. Here's Daniel Shih with a look back at a Taiwan series to remember in this week's Unhooked.
Well, thanks, Adam. In the turbulent year that is 2020, Taiwan offers a glimpse of what a normal life could look like. And on April 12th, the CPBL, which is Taiwan's premier professional baseball league, became the first league to kick off since the pandemic. After 240 regular season games and 6 Taiwan Series games, the Uni Lions and the CTBC Brothers faced off in Taichung Intercontinental Stadium in the winner-take-all Game 7 for the 2020 CPBL Championship. This game was unlikely to happen. The Uni Lions won Game 1 with a 3-run home run in the 10th inning, but dropped the next 3 games, including the Game 3 loss when the brothers' first baseman Xu Jihong added a majestic bat flip to the 3-run home run in the 9th. With their backs against the wall, the Lions tied the series after being down 3-1 by winning 2 in a row, and now we're going into Game 7 of the Taiwan series. Historically, the brothers are 1-3 in Game 7s, their latest loss coming in 2015. The Lions are 5-2 in the winner-take-all game, good enough to be the best in the CPBL. Can they clinch it tonight? Let's take a look at the highlights. We start in the top of the first inning. Left fielder Chen Jiexian with man on second base rips that one to right field for a base hit, and Jiang Liangwei from second comes in to score. Chen Jiexian stops at second base, and the UD Lions grab an early 1-0 lead here in the first inning. Top of the second baseman Lin Jinkai drives that one to center field, and he's got the wheels. He beat the shift, and he's going all the way to second base. And now the Lions have a man in scoring position. Couple of batters later, catcher Lin Youle drives that one to left field. Lin Jinkai from second comes in to score, and that's an RBI single for the Uni Lions. They double the lead, and they're up 2-0. Top of the third inning, left fielder Chen Jiexian gets on base by drawing a walk, and right fielder Li Anke, the regular season home run leader, drives that one to right field for a base hit. Chen Jiexian stops at third, and now they have men on the corners with nobody out. But Errol Miranda, the starting pitcher for the Brothers, settles down. He gets the double play to end the momentum, but the Lions do score a run here. They're up 3-0. Bottom of the third inning, the Brothers are looking to fight back. Right fielder Pan Zhifeng starts the inning with a single to right field, and now the leadoff man is on board. Third baseman Wang Weichen then lines a line drive to left field, and that is another base hit. And now they have man on second and third with one out. First and third with one out. Right fielder Chen Zihao goes to right field for a base hit, and the CTBC Brothers get on the board. They're down 3-1. And then DH veteran Zhou Siqi with a perfectly placed grounder to right field, just out of the reach of second baseman Lin Jinkai. Right fielder Chen Zihao goes to third. Once again, they have men on the corners with one out. The only difference is the score is now 3-2. And then rookie shortstop Jiang Kun with another perfectly placed grounder on a hit and run play. And now the Brothers tie the game up at 3 runs apiece with men on first and second. And then second baseman Yue Donghua will grab the lead right away for the CTBC Brothers with a grounder to right. And Zhou Siqi comes in to score. That's their first lead of the game. They go up 4-3 with a 4-run inning in the third. We jump all the way to the top of the seventh inning. Second baseman Lin Jinkai gets on base with the base hit to left field. And now the Lions game-tying run is on first base. And then pinch hitter Guo Fuling draws a walk. So the go-ahead run is on base as well. Now men on second and third. The ball goes to the backstop, and Lin Jinkai from third comes in to score. And the Union Lions tie the game up at 4 runs apiece with a man on third. 2 outs in the top of the seventh. And then pinch hitter Wu Jierui with the single to left field. Guo Fuling comes in to score. The Union Lions overturn the deficit. They go up 5-4 here at the top of the seventh, but the 1-run lead is not enough as left fielder Chen Jiexian in the following at-bat drives that one to right field, and that one is gone. Bye-bye, baseball. It's a 2-run home run for the Uni Lions, and they grab a 3-run lead going up 7-4 in the top of the seventh. Bottom of the seventh inning, the Brothers are not going down without a fight with man on first base, Chen Zihao dumps a Texas leaguer in center field, and now the game-tying run is coming up to the plate. DH Zhou Siqi at the plate versus Huang Juyan, and that one is lined to third. Guo Fuling with the snag, and the Lions get out of this inning unscathed, and now they take the lead to the bottom of the ninth inning. The Canadian Brock Dykeshorn on the mound, and he gets the final out for the Uni Lions as they win the 2020 CPBL Championship. They came back down from 3-1 deficit. They came back. Nobody was giving them a chance, and they won it on the road with the score 7-4. They win their 10th CPBL championship in team history, good enough to be the best in CPBL. Congratulations to the Uni President 7-11 Lions. With the Lions winning the championship, the historic 2020 season has come to an end. From being the first league in the world to start since the COVID-19 outbreak, to being the first to welcome fans into the stadium, to having sellout crowds at 6 of the 7 Taiwan Series games, the CPBL showed the world what a united front versus a pandemic could have looked like. With the correct mindset, the rest of the world can enjoy this in no time. Adam, I'll toss it back to you.
Thank you, Daniel, for that CPBL recap. What a comeback by the Lions in that series. When we come back, it's time to go back stateside as we take a look at how former Longhorns did in the NFL this past week and at all the current happenings in sports around the 40 acres. Don't go anywhere. You're watching College Pressbox. Welcome back into College Pressbox. With the NFL Week 9 in the books, let's take a look at how some Longhorn alumni performed this past weekend. One of the most remarkable stories of the weekend was how former Longhorn quarterback Garrett Gilbert performed for the Dallas Cowboys, despite just being signed by the team on October 12th. Gilbert threw for 243 yards and a touchdown and then added 28 yards rushing on the ground to give the Cowboys a chance against the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. However, the Cowboys' last-ditch effort from the Pittsburgh 23-yard line fell incomplete as the Steelers held on for a nail-biting 24-19 victory. Now out to Arizona, former Longhorn linebacker Jordan Hicks had 7 tackles, including 1 for loss, but this did not prevent his Cardinals from falling to the Dolphins in a 34-31 nail-biter as Tua Tagovailoa threw for 248 yards and 2 touchdowns. Moving up north, former Texas quarterback Chris Boyd had a huge game as the Minnesota Vikings defeated the Detroit Lions 34-20. Boyd, who was a 7th-round pick last year, had 11 tackles, including 1 for loss, along with a pass deflection and a forced fumble in the Vikings' victory. Lastly, former defensive tackle for the Longhorns and now with the New Orleans Saints, Malcolm Brown had a key sack as the Saints demolished the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 38-3 in a crucial NFC showdown. Now back to the 40 acres. We're going to head over to the soccer pitch. Texas women's soccer team traveled up to Lubbock this past weekend to square off against Texas Tech in their season finale. Despite outshooting the Raiders 14-12 with 6 shots on target, Texas fell short. Texas Tech got a goal from Kirsten Davis in the 54th minute to edge the Longhorns 1-0 on the night. With the defeat, Texas finished their Big 12 only schedule with a 4-5 record on the season. Now moving over to the hard court, the first AP poll of the season came out this week. 6 men's Big 12 basketball teams were ranked in the top 25, while Gonzaga was ranked as the #1 team overall in the nation. The Longhorns came in ranked at number 19. With 14 returning players and the addition of 5-star recruit Greg Brown, hopes are high for this Texas team this year under Shaka Smart. The Longhorns will get their season underway in a few weeks' time when they square off against UT Rio Grande Valley at the Frank Irwin Center on November 25th. Heading over to men's golf, the Longhorns finished off their fall season at the East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta, Georgia. After falling to Oklahoma 3-2, Texas men's golf team responded the following day against Texas Tech. The Longhorns scored a resounding 5-0 victory over the Red Raiders back on October 28th, thanks to victories from Christopher Brink, Parker Cootie, Pearson Cootie, Cole Hammer, and Travis Vick to close out their fall season on a high note. The women's golf team also finished off their season at the East Lake Cup in Atlanta. Their ending to the season, however, was not quite as sweet as they fell to the Florida Gators 4-0-1. Their lone tie came from Haley Cooper as the Gators took the other 4 matches in a convincing fashion. Lastly, we'll head over to the tennis courts. Texas men's tennis team had an impressive performance at the Big Six Fall Invitational in Fort Worth, Texas. The Longhorns swept the top flights in doubles and singles competition. CM Wooldeep and Elliot Spazzeri won the doubles competition, while Spazzeri and freshman Micah Braswell were co-champions in singles play. This finished off the fall season for the Longhorns. The men's tennis team now will return to action in January. Looking ahead, here's what is upcoming this week in Texas sports. Texas women's tennis team will compete in a tournament here in Austin, while men's and women's swimming will compete down I-35 in San Antonio at the U.S. Open this Thursday through Saturday. Women's volleyball also has 2 more crucial clashes in Big 12 play this week as they travel to Morgantown to face West Virginia. Those games will be at 5 o'clock on Thursday and Friday and will be available to be streamed on ESPN+. Lastly, Texas' football team is off on a bye week this week before returning for their final 3 games on their Big 12 slate. And with that, that is all we have tonight on College Pressbox. Make sure to check out College Crossfire on Wednesday nights with Coach Jaxie Pigeon for some great sports debate. And wake up with the 1-0 Sports Show on Friday mornings at 10 o'clock a.m. For everyone here in our virtual studio and Master Control, I'm Adam Ogburn. Have a great rest of your night.